Welcome to the Conde Nast Traveler Dine and Drink Festival, a special event where we're chatting with the best in the business about all things food. I'm Smita Menon, the culinary editor at Conde Nast Traveler India. The last few years have changed the where, what, and how of dining and drinking for all of us. The F&B industry has gone through a massive upheaval, home chefs for the flavor of the season, cloud kitchens sprung up across the country, and restaurants struggle to stay open and stay relevant. Now, of course, they've pivoted to new models, they've opened exciting new ventures, and now the restaurants are open again. We're flocking to them like never before. There's Ritu Dalmia, the chief diva at Diva Group of Restaurants, Yash Banage of Hunger Inc. that owns O Pedro, the Bombay Canteen, and the Bombay Sweet Shop, Gauri Devidayal of Food Matters, the brand behind restaurants such as The Table and Mac Street Cafe, and Adi Singh, MD of Olive Group of Restaurants. Welcome, all of you. I'm so glad that you're here. How are all of you doing?
Very, very well.
Very well.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure to be here with you and with this esteemed panel.
So all of you have been on a bunch of panels before, and we wanted to change it up and make it different. So for this panel, we're going to be playing Never Have I Ever. For those of you who don't know, Never Have I Ever is a game where I say Never Have I Ever followed by a statement. And if that statement is true, then the person for whom it's true takes a drink. So this is a fairly easy game. I hope all of you have something to drink while we're doing this. Yes?
Yes.
I have mine. Okay, great. Perfect. Cool. So we're just going to start off with some fun questions and then move on as we go along. So I'm starting off with something fairly easy. Never have I ever told a customer to take a hike.
We're all lying through our
Nice.
teeth.
You want to tell us about that, yeah? For being the first person, I'm going to do that.
It was probably me.
I feel it could have been, I could have had a couple of shots on that one. I think at some points at various, maybe Bombay Canteen at O Pedro, there are various, in a bit, just drunk guests who are not behaving the right way with our team and treating them with respect. So at some point, you just need to ask them to leave because that's the cordial way to do it. And standing up for the team is something we always believe in. So I think it's happened a couple of times, sadly, but needs to be done.
But I thought the question was, never have I ever asked a customer to take a hike, Yash.
So like a hike on a mountain?
No, take a hike, get out. So have you done it or you've not?
Yeah, I have done it.
Then
I'm
you
sure everyone else
don't. So then you don't qualify, my dear boy.
Oh.
No, then you qualify.
Then you qualify.
Then I qualify, then we
qualify.
all qualify. Then
Yeah,
we all
so
qualify.
So now everyone take a drink.
Now everyone takes a shot. It's not fair.
Oh, okay.
Maybe in not so many words.
Ah.
It's slightly different words.
Yeah.
No, I've just told them, obviously, I can't take care of your food needs. And obviously, you've come to a wrong restaurant. So whatever drinks you've had, it's from the house. Just leave me alone and get out from here. So in those many words. No, but as Yash said, it's very important that they treat customers okay. I still remember many years ago when I used to have a restaurant in London, we had a group of Gujarati Indian travelers who came who would just call the waiters like that. And finally, he said, give me a plate. I said, say, please. And he said, give me a plate. I said, say, please, please, please. And when he refused to say please, I said, all right, that's the way. The lassi was on me.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so moving on to our next question. Never have I ever tried to poach a server at a restaurant while dining there.
Probably.
Tell us about the time, Gauri.
I have no idea. I was probably a little drunk. No, I mean, I don't even remember, but I'm sure I've done it. I'm sure I've been like, you're really good. And if you're ever looking for a change, hit me up.
Is that if you have those thoughts in your head, does it count?
Of course it does.
And you're fighting between the evil and the thing on both shoulders. Should I not?
I actually remember doing it when I was in the Seychelles, and there are a lot of Indians who go out and work there, and especially from the south. And I remember saying, if you ever come back to India, come to Bombay, this is where it's happening, and hit us up. So yeah, no, we've
does not count, Gauri. Does not count. That was an extra shot you drank. That was just for the heck of it. You just wanted another shot.
But honestly, just part, there's a healthy dose of competition between restaurants. So how do you guys try and retain employees within companies and make sure they don't jump ship?
So
anyone, I'll start with you, Yash.
Yeah.
Or Gauri, sure.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, honestly, you can never, hold anyone back. And I think that the sooner you realize that, the better it is for your sanity. I think that it's important to also encourage, development amongst team members, and if it's a good move for them, especially, I think it's really important to encourage it and maintain that relationship with your team. And often I've found that people have gone on for better prospects, maybe on cruise ships or just gone abroad. And then if you have that good rapport with them, when they come back, they invariably do come back to you as well. So no one's bound to anyone for life, and I think that it's important to remember that.
Yeah, I feel instead of asking yourselves like, why are my employees leaving, you should ask yourself the question and being like, what environment can I create for them to stay, right? Like, that's been like something that we really cherish at Hunger Inc. is how do you create an environment for the team members where there's a sense of respect, integrity, a lot of training, a lot of professional growth happening, and they want to come into work. And like for me, like 15 years ago, I started working as a server at a hotel, and I was doing it because I needed the experience, and I did it for 3 years and I enjoyed it. But now when I look back, I've traveled the world and come back and I look at it, was it the most respectable environment? No, it wasn't. So I think in India's hospitality, even just treating people with respect and integrity every single day, I think that just helps with keeping them with you. Anyone's going to offer them a higher salary, but at the end of the day, if they come in, feel respected at work, they're always going to stay with you.
I have another take on it as well. We've been very lucky. We have team members who have been with us for years and years. And earlier when they used to leave, I used to be heartbroken, and I used to always wonder, what did I do wrong, or why does he not want to stay with us anymore? But also I think sometimes it's also just the way it's important for development of our team members to go outside. It's also very important for a restaurant's development to have some new blood in the thing. So honestly, I mean, now, guess I'm older and wiser and a lot more gray hair than any of you. I have accepted it, and also I've realized sometimes it's really great to have some new blood, new ideas. And also because let's face it, forget about your team members. Even I, after so many years, sometimes I feel jaded. I feel exhausted. I don't have anything new to contribute. And when you have some people who are just fresh, enthusiastic, they just inject their little bit of enthusiasm back into you. So I think it's a catch-22 situation. So just the way it is important to retain your team, it's also important to have that openness to take in new people and let some sort of an evolvement and evolution happen within the dynamics of your own team as well.
Absolutely. Katie, I'd love to get your perspective. Yeah.
Sure. So, Olive, I know it's a bit of a cliche when people talk about my teams like my family, but with the Olive Group, as we've grown now over 21 years, I've tried to create that culture down the line. And as everybody's already said, it's much more about making sure that they're getting money, but about more than that, about the way they're treated, about respect, but really making them feel that this is a home for them. And to do that, we as a company have tried our best to care for them, for their aspirations, for their career path that they're looking for. I genuinely hope that many of my best people will retire from the Olive Group when they reach 58 or 62 or whatever it is at that time. And as a result of that, we've managed to keep really very, very good bench strength managers, because we've been able to look after their own desires and their own aspirations as they've grown. And though I do fully agree with Ritu that new blood, if you can get the right new blood, has great value. For us, we've been able to grow and strongly. So I think because we've been able to keep our good people with us, I don't see myself as being, brilliant at doing that. But I think the great strength in our group has been that we've kept them and kept them motivated, inspired, connected to us. And that's what's helped the group grow.
Absolutely. And congratulations on 21 years of all the young.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. I think we should do a drink with that.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Any reason to do that.
Almost as old as Olive.
Okay, great. So moving on. Never have I ever wanted to quit it all and move to the beach. Have there been points where you guys just wanted to?
I'm really halfway there. Halfway there.
Yeah.
I think everybody in the industry at
Yes.
some point wants to quit it all and move to the beach.
I think every Friday you think about it.
Okay, fine. Connected to that, never have I ever thought the pandemic would be over by now.
Is it over?
Over? Yes.
I mean, well, yeah. In March 2020, I think everyone thought this is going to last for maybe
4
3
6
months,
weeks.
4 months. Yeah.
I thought 2 weeks. I told everyone come back on the 31st. No, honestly, I mean, it's crazy, but hearing the news in the last couple of days has not helped blood pressure at all. But I do hope that it doesn't go back to March 2020 for sure.
Sweetheart, for us, March 2021 was even worse than March 2020 because what happened, at least I think it happened everywhere, but in Delhi, for 2.5 months, it was everyday news of someone or the other passing away or calls nonstop for ICU beds, for hospital, for oxygen concentrators. So I think March 2020 was very bad from work point of view, when suddenly everything shut down without any prior notice, without all of us knowing. But from an emotional, from a personal point of view, I think March 2021 was worse than 2020. And honestly, if I may say so, without sounding like goody gumdrops, but I've been traveling a lot in the last days, and everywhere I go, in every hotel, all I'm doing is fighting with people at breakfast table who are going all around the hotels without wearing a mask. Also, I think there has come in a sense of, fuck it, this is the way it is, and we don't give a shit anymore. And I live in Goa now, which is full of anti-vaxxers, and it's not about what you believe in. At the end, you also have a responsibility towards others. So I hate to say it, but this new, whatever the name is, I can't even pronounce it, Omicron or whatever it is. In some ways, it's been a little wake-up call that, guys, it's really not over as yet. And you really also at the same point feel there are a lot of things which we actually cannot control. And I think this has been the biggest example of you can try your best, you can have the best product, you can have the best team, you can have the best locations, but there are so many goddamn things which you just cannot control. And at some point, I think the acceptance of that fact is the only way forward. You can get angry, you can get depressed, you can get frustrated, but hang on, what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? So I think for me personally, it's easier to say than follow it. I've reached a point in my life that even if this has to continue, and it will continue, all of us are here sitting on this panel. We all have survived for the last 2 years. Hopefully in 2023, we'll be talking about something that happened those years and we've forgotten about it. But even if it's still there, we'll find our ways to survive this as well.
Moving forward, have you guys found a shift in the way diners are interacting with or at your restaurants? Obviously, people, during the lockdown said we won't go to a restaurant. We're not sure of going to a restaurant again. But when restaurants opened, boom! Like there were so many people at restaurants. It's tough to get a booking at almost all of your restaurants right now. So tell me about shift and what you've seen.
I think that a lot of things that we were doing when we opened in the first break last year, so around November last year, a lot has changed since then. We all started out with, and a lot of restaurants are still doing this, but the QR codes and sort of distancing in restaurants, and I think that with time, it's a combination of just COVID fatigue and sort of what people have been calling revenge eating, and all of that combined together. People have been going out, and I think they've just reconciled to the fact that they have to learn to live with this. So even for example, while we have QR codes at our restaurant, people just want the physical menu, and they just want to so they've just realized that coming in sort of expecting things to be sort of super different in a restaurant setting versus when they then step out on the street and they're like taking a boat across to Alibag, or they're getting on a flight where any of this doesn't necessarily get implemented. It's just it's not practical to only have restaurants in this bubble of expecting it to be completely sort of COVID free, right? So of course, I think, and I'm probably speaking hopefully on behalf of everyone here, that we're doing our best to ensure that we're we're maintaining safety and health and hygiene and all of that. But I think people who are coming out are now sort of accepting the risk with going out. And what's really interesting is I've seen so many of the older generation coming out, like my parents' age, in their 70s, 80s, and they're just like, screw this, we're going out and living our life. So I think that's what it's it's come to now.
So I think that Smita was what none of us quite knew what would happen in March 20 or that summer. And would people come back to restaurants? And it's been very reassuring, very gratifying for the industry to realize now that going out, eating out, dining out, drinking out, catching up is really part of the fabric of our lives. We need it.
Yeah.
And now after 18 months of largely being very careful, being largely stuck at home, people are coming out in larger than numbers. And as Gauri said, saying, we got to move on with our lives. We'll be careful, we'll follow protocols, but we got to move on and try and do everything that we were doing before and resume some level of what they're calling the new normalcy. And that's lovely for the industry to see. It gives us hope for a bright future. Even with the worry of the last couple of days of a new variant, we now feel that we can live and coexist successfully moving forward.
I just want to add to that, actually. Sorry, just one thing. You were talking earlier about the team and sort of staffing. In fact, now I think at least what I'm seeing is there's a major sort of manpower crunch in the industry, and I think that's a sort of factor of many things, but definitely one of them is because of the industry sort of bouncing back in a big way.
But it's also other things, just not industry bouncing back, because you see, at least in Italy, for example, in Milan, there are 400,000 people who are in the F&B industry, hotels, restaurant, tourism. Out of that, nearly 180,000 have changed their jobs. During the pandemic last year, they weren't sure whether there's a job for them in this industry anymore. And some have become health workers. I was dropped to the airport when I was coming back last year by someone who was a manager, and she had a mask on, I had a mask on, and she says, "Buongiorno, chef." She took off her mask. She used to be a manager 2 years ago at Chitamani. So I think it's a bit of both. Of course, the industry is bouncing back. But a lot of people, when they went through this extreme crisis, especially in the food industry, a lot of them also changed their vocation. So it's something which is happening worldwide at the moment, which is the shortage of resources, especially in the food industry. Also, I mean, hotels. I mean, we've been doing events non-stop now for the last 2 months. And the normal crew of a hotel is no longer there. The waiters are all coming from colleges. The quality of staff has dropped, and everyone has only one thing to lament about, which is that they can't find decent people in the industry anymore.
Absolutely. Yash, you've been trying to say something for some time.
So I feel, one of the things that really helped, and I was actually looking at data a lot in the last 2 weeks, is the second vaccination, when the bulk of the people finished that big gap between first and second, especially the older people after that have started coming out much more because there's a sense of safety. One of the biggest trends we've seen is at Bombay Canteen, our group sizes used to be 2.5, like on an average. We've now gone up to a 3.94. So people are coming out, meeting friends, because I feel you've not met them for 2 years face to face, right? Earlier, when it was just like a business lunch with your office person, you're asking someone else to join because you've just missed, like what AD was saying. In India, our only sense of going out, sadly, we don't have parks. We don't have beaches everywhere we go. You can't just open a bottle of wine in a park and sit down and drink it, right? The only sense of joy is sitting around a table, enjoying stories, telling each other stories, and enjoying food. Now, that could be at home as well, or it could be at a restaurant. But that's what India is about, right? Eating good food and just sharing stories. And I feel that's coming back in a huge way, where people just want to meet each other after 2 years.
Absolutely. I mean, people are calling it the Great Resignation, where people are, where staff is not available. But more than anything else, I think that human is what people have missed for the longest time. And that's what people are really craving for. But connected to that, I'm moving to my next question. Never have I ever launched a delivery service during the pandemic.
Never have I launched. So have I launched or not launched?
Yep.
Of course I have launched.
Right? That was Diva Pantry.
Yeah, Diva Pantry, Casa Diva, which was the do-it-yourself kits. We couldn't do delivery in ready-made form because our food doesn't stay well with it. But with the Casa, I mean, where your pizza base is baked, your tomato sauce is there, your mozzarella has been chopped, put it together, shove it in the oven, and you've become a fabulous pizzaiolo yourself. Yes, and it also helped us survive, to be honest with you. And that's why I thought we'll only do it during the pandemic time, and post-pandemic, we'll shut it down because not really, I told you the other day also, Smita, I'm a hypocrite, when I say I will never do this, that means definitely sooner or later I'll do it. Okay? So it's the same. And Casa has now become a vertical by itself, the Diva Pantry, Diva Casa. So as long as the moolah is coming in, I'm not complaining.
And Yash, of course, there was Bruna and Babka, there was Kung Fu Canteen. Are those brands that you're looking at continuing now, or are we never going to get those eclairs again?
A good question. I got asked this yesterday as well on text by an angry person when I said no. Kung Fu Canteen was honestly a decision we took right after the second lockdown got announced, especially for Bombay. Knowing that there was a sense of fatigue for people eating Bombay Canteen or Pedro food. We have a really loyal set of people who've kept ordering from us. We wanted to give them a change. We had wanted to always open an Indian Chinese restaurant. We feel it's something part of our culture. There's a huge story to it. 2 years ago, we had looked at an old Chinese restaurant in Bombay and taking it over and redoing it. So we had the menus ready. We had done a lot of research. And then we had to just move it. Thankfully, Indian Chinese food delivers really well. So that's how Kung Fu Canteen came about. And for us, let's be honest, I had to pay rent and we just needed an influx of cash. So we did it. And, in India, F&B is all about FOMO. May it be a restaurant that opens where someone's breaking plates now, someone wants to be there. Or someone started an Indian Chinese place and you keep telling them it's only for a month. Just people can't stop ordering, right? Yeah. Same with Bruna and Babka. It's like you give them something and take it away. it's just the FOMO builds up so much. And that's what we were building those two on. Also, we were using restaurant premises to do the back end, right? And now we don't have those premises free. So both the restaurants are obviously at 50% occupancy, but doing the best they can. So we don't have that much space that's available. But like Ritu said very correctly, as restaurateurs, it taught us a lesson that there is another vertical we need to be building, because such lockdowns, shutdowns, may it be an epidemic or may it be climate change, floods, it's going to happen. We need to get ready, and we can't be so real estate heavy where we always believe in dine-in restaurants. Yes, that's our passion, it's fun, but we need to have verticals ready if these restaurants do shut down again.
AD, Gauri, both of you sort of swung to comfort food. There was Olive Pizzeria and Max Street Top. So tell me a little about that. Obviously, it's both of them are super popular now. Are these verticals that you're looking at sort of delving deeper into as we go forward?
Sure. Should I go ahead, Gauri?
Sure, please.
Yeah. So it's actually been a source of joy and a source of irritation, I have to say, for so many years. People would come up to me and say, Eddie, we love Olive. And the next thing they'd say was, we love your pizzas. Because we feel we're so much more than pizzas. But willy-nilly over 20 plus years, we built up a reputation for doing very good pizzas nationally. And it really came home to me because so many people are really doing good pizzas across the country now. But 2-3 years ago, just pre-pandemic, there were a couple of competitions in the NCR, and the Olive Pizza won it in both Gurgaon and Delhi, which was surprised me. I mean, Ritu, for example, does incredible pizzas, and so many more brands. I think our reputation helps, our quality is very, very good. And so we decided during the pandemic, when like everybody else, we needed some cash flow, to really put a lot of effort into creating a vertical around the Olive Pizzeria. And Chef Irfan, who's my old friend, who's been with us now a few years, is leading that effort and working very hard on trying to improve that product for delivery. Not a business that me or my teams necessarily understand well, but trying to learn and understand it and get on top of it and create really good products for delivery like we do in our restaurants. So Olive Pizzeria is a brand that we will continue to grow nationally from our kitchens and from outside as well, even when dining is back to full speed.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have now 4 delivery brands and not our restaurants, not coming directly from the restaurant. And, what's, I think, been the most interesting for me in the last sort of year and a half or so is just firstly understanding that, we're all restaurateurs, I think primarily. And restaurant food is meant to be eaten in a restaurant. That's what it's designed for. And it's not, when you create a restaurant menu, you're not intending it to be delivered. So I think that was the biggest challenge to start with. And it's not that, like Ritu said, it's not like a pasta can just be put into a takeaway box and enjoyed in the same way at home, right? It cooks, it overcooks, it sort of, you can't just reheat it and enjoy it in the same way. So I think first was just fundamentally understanding that delivery is a completely different mindset. You're probably at home, maybe in front of a TV or in your jammies or, and you're in a different mind space altogether. It's about comfort. It's about, you're not necessarily looking for, the sort of fancy table setting and, all of that. You're just looking for something that's easy to execute, that's delicious and, just hits the spot, right? So I think first thing was just understanding that. And then, like AD said, we sort of had to overnight learn this art of delivery. And once you get the sort of food right, it's also about the logistics, the packaging. And I remember when we started off just with Max Street Bread Co. and Iktara, like right in the beginning in April last year, we resumed the deliveries for there. And I remember there was such limited access to packaging in the market because most of the vendors weren't open. And then you were getting this packaging where like grease was going through. And, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're actually sending this out this way to our sort of customers, and it kind of killed me, but at the same time we literally didn't have any choice but to the only way to kind of bring in the moolah, right? So but of course, as things opened up and as people started coming back to work, that's all changed. So it's not a simple thing of just saying, oh, the restaurant's shut, let me just switch on the delivery, right? It's really not that straightforward. And I think that whether sort of you did it for a temporary period or whether you're doing it as as an ongoing format, it is a completely different part of what we do, part of the F&B industry, and I feel sort of grateful to have got that part of our business going. Delivery was actually sort of kind of looked down on by us snooty restaurateurs earlier, and even for chefs to get into it was kind of like, oh my god, you're doing delivery now. And like lo and behold, it became the mainstay of most of our survival, right? So I think that whole perspective has changed, and with people doing Spotify playlists on their sort of packaging, and like really going out of their way to kind of make that experience great as well. But it's so important today because, like Yash was saying, you don't know what's going to happen. It's just so unpredictable, and it's a great way for restaurateurs to hedge their business. So you kind of have your finger in both pies to survive whichever way the wind's blowing at the time. And in our case, we've actually moved from delivery into dine-in with our delivery brand. So, with the cafe that opened a couple of months ago, it was basically, we had the space, we were like, what do we do? We can't, fly chefs down, we can't sort of create something new in this condition. And we basically put the delivery brands into a dine-in format. So it can work both ways. And I really think it's about being open-minded and, just learning to be nimble and do what's required at the time.
Very difficult lesson to learn, to be nimble and open-minded. Oh my God.
And are there any other alternate sources of revenue that you're looking at apart from delivery? Are there any other ventures that you guys are working on that you can share right now?
We've also retailed some of our products, which you're making already in-house, and you bottle it nicely, and a lot of people are cooking at home. Especially, it sort of brought out the chef in everyone, I think, this lockdown. And so, that's one thing that we're sort of definitely looking into, and hopefully we can add more to that.
Super. Moving on to my next question, linked to alternate sources of revenue, is never have I ever considered launching my own app. Have any of you thought of moving into tech in a way that could help your business?
I mean, really?
Okay, I want to explain this. And I wasn't just drinking, though I was thirsty after yakking on for the last.
I mean, our tech check took 40 minutes, more or less. And
listen, I never said I would be developing the app.
Okay, okay, I drink. Never do that.
No, one of our brands is a bakery, and I have got used to ordering a lot on the app, like even milk and things like that. And so something like a bakery, which is a staple product, it's something you'll order regularly. We have sort of looked into it, but honestly, when someone started talking tech to me, I just kind of dozed off, and I was like, I can't handle this. So maybe for another time. So it hasn't really, we haven't sort of, but. Yeah, and it's a big step. It's not easy to launch an app. It's not something you can just roll out and expect everyone to download and start using immediately. It's a huge investment, and it's a big move from what we know how to do, which is hospitality, and not tech. We're not sort of tech experts, as we learned while setting up our delivery brands. So it's but I think you also have to recognize what's happening around you and possibly again look to adapt.
20 years ago, 15, even as early as 10 years ago, when people started talking about cloud kitchen and ghost kitchen, everyone would say, what the fuck is that? What the hell is that? No one I couldn't understand what it meant. And now, I mean, it's gone so crazy that you want to say, hang on, we need to think something away from cloud kitchen. So I think it's going to be the same for apps, but my biggest fear is, I don't know how many of you have seen this amazing series, The Building with the Murders, where, what was it called?
With Selena Gomez.
That's all Yash noticed.
You're talking about Selena Gomez. My age group talks
My eyes
about,
were like,
my age group talks about Steve Martin in there. Never mind. So, they have this podcast which has 17 subscribers. So my biggest thing is, even if we launch a app and we only have 20 subscribers, what the hell will that be about?
Yeah.
So not happening.
To answer your question, we are not starting an app, but come January of this year, actually, we put down a really nice document together on where we see Hunger Inc. going, and wanted to start working on a vertical that we call Hunger Digital, and made some really key hires, which we feel it's a product that will only work in a couple of years, because we still need to understand what we are building. It's not going to be an app, but it's also going to be just enable us technologically to be able to take the hospitality that we are known for in people's houses, maybe through a product or D2C brands. Bombay Sweet Shop for us was our biggest silver lining throughout the pandemic. We've gone from being able to handle just around 150 deliveries last year per day to doing, in Diwali, we did around 1,000 deliveries, and all of them were done in-house. So even having the right softwares, the right teams to be able to handle that part of it. How does content then fit into what we do, and how do we take it to different people who come? That's something we are really looking into, because again, like we've been all saying, like delivery has been that vertical that we've all been building on. For us, digital is an important part we really want to start building on. And as founders, we are slightly more tech enabled, but we've gone out and hired people from various tech companies to come in and set that up with us.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see what the future holds. But okay, moving on to the next question. We were talking about how everyone has become a food expert, and they want to they come into the restaurant and they're now looking at quality of produce and all of these things that people were not talking about before, right? Pre-pandemic, farm to table was still a cool hipster thing. Now, of course, it's a very regular thing. So never have I ever wanted to start farming or thought of starting my own farm. Gauri, I'm looking at you.
I'm not drinking. I'm just going to stop.
Even when I water my plants at home, they die. What do I say?
Look, I just want to say, yes, okay, as someone who has done it, crazy or not, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's, everyone thinks, oh, you're growing your own vegetables, you must be making a big saving on food cost. No, it does not work that way. I've probably spent a lot more on the farm than if I was just buying it from, suppliers. And it's a long process. It takes it's a lot of effort, a lot of investment. And of course, it's totally worth it. But, it's not something I may have just ventured into if we didn't have that farm already. And that's the reason we started taking people out, to the table farm, so that they understand what actually goes into getting that salad on your plate at the restaurant, right? So I think for us, it by no means supplies everything that we require at the restaurant, but it's a start. And I do encourage it. There's, I've sat there like week after week, like watching something grow and waiting for it to fruit. And it's truly sort of, it's incredibly gratifying to be able to, see that and eat it. But it's definitely not for the faint-hearted.
Absolutely. Yash, you took a drink too.
So we've looked at it from a different angle. 2 years ago, we started working with Nandi Foundation to enable farmers. So we adopted Cherupattu, which is a village. We had around 15 farmers who signed up on day one. It's increased to 29 farmer families. And at this point, it was barren land. So it's taken us time to rejuvenate that and start building out the right systems, which Nandi Foundation does a great job with. come year 3, year 4 of this project that we are working on, we keep supporting them. We'll see the ingredients coming to fruit, and slowly we'll be able to represent them within the restaurant. Right now, we just get millet, so we use it to make any kind of bread that we can do with it. For us at Bombay Canteen now, we want to start enabling farmer cooperatives more and give a different angle to farm to table, where you don't need to have your own farms, but how do you start working with on the ground farmers to make better produce with them so that their lives improve and they have a better livelihood as well. So that's how we are looking at it.
Any excess product, please send it to me.
I want to end with one question. Never have I ever been envious of someone on this panel.
Like, of course, all the time. I'm going to finish my drink on that.
Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers to everyone.
I think I need to drink
Cheers,
the whole
everyone.
thing down.
One
They
thing
call it
that
envy.
you would like to learn.
On one way of calling it is envy. The other one is, I wish, damn, I had done that before him. Or
Yes.
it is more self-flagellation more than anything else. That why did I not think of it
Okay,
before?
yeah.
Why the hell did I not do that before? And in some ways, it's good because it keeps you on your toes. So I have to say, for each one of you, I'm sorry, I'm this envious little bitch. So, each one of you, I've said, damn, he did it before I did. But still love you guys, huh?
Yeah.
Ditto.
Love you, sweetie. Love you, everybody.
I'll just be
give
happy
you,
if I reach 21 years, honestly, in this
Sorry?
business.
Oh, darling, I'm in my 30th year more
Okay,
or less.
baby steps. Okay, baby steps. Don't.
Okay. Honestly, every 5 years I said, this is it. And I have a feeling I'll be still doing this with a walking stick and hunched back, for heaven's sake. So I'm gonna get there before you can say Jack Robinson Gory.
I think I have a very an example that I literally was like, has AD hacked my phone? Because we were about to launch O Pedro, I think around October 4 years ago, and we were still building the idea out. And AD launched a Goan brand in Delhi at that point. And I was like, how the hell did that happen? And I was like, I think so. I feel at different points, but I think with AD and Ritu, as us, to have a legacy where people respect you, for being genuinely nice people. They've been in the business for so long, but we can still, you have to look up to them for the amount of respect they have in this industry. And Gauri and me just banter with each other because she keeps stealing my ideas, This
was a completely wrong thing to say. Do you realize that? When you say look up, and what you're calling us is basically old institutions, been there, done that.
Very
all right?
bad,
yeah. Just rephrase that right away.
Lifetime Achievement Award coming up. Yeah.
If you want to give me a lifetime achievement award, I'll head to that beach right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, I think all of you deserve lifetime achievement awards for the past couple of years that the restaurant industry has been through. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to come in for a meal at all of your restaurants very soon again.
I can't hear anything. I need to head to my bed this
I like
Cheers,
this
everybody.
Zoom meetings with shots. I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, are you wearing your pajamas, Yash?
I'm not wearing anything.
Oh my God.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Take care, everyone.
Love you.
AD, get well
Thank you.
soon.